Welcome to MACTV. As you know, if you've watched one of our other shows, you know that our goal is to make sure that the public understands what we do as it relates to working with families with low income. And so we're featuring a number of our programs. And today we have Dr. Phara Fondren with us, who is our Head Start and Early Head Start Director. And so, Phara, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, actually, I'm returning to the Metropolitan Action Commission. I actually started my Head Start career in Metropolitan Action Commission. I returned about 2 years ago as the Head Start Director, but I started as the Parent Involvement Coordinator, and then I transitioned into the role of Social Services Coordinator. And then I left for some time, and I provided consultant services to Head Start programs. I worked for the Regional Training Network, and then I returned recently, about 2 years ago, as the Head Start, now Head Start Early Head Start Director.
Tell me what it was that drew you back, and you don't have to say it was me, but seriously, tell me what it was that really drew you back to wanting to work back in Head Start in a local program.
I think it's because I really have a passion for making a difference in the lives of children and families. Being out in the Head Start realm as far as giving support to Head Start programs was great, but actually being in the trenches, making a difference in the lives of children and families and staff was something I just couldn't get away from. So I returned because I want to make a difference.
Well, Phara, you've made more than a couple of changes since you got back to Head Start. Talk to us just a little bit about what you found and what you wanted to really change to strengthen a program that was really already a pretty good program.
I think that one of the things that I wanted to change was to ensure, or not necessarily to change, but to ensure that we were focused on the mission and the vision of the organization, which is really to help families to increase the quality of their living. So the first thing that we did was to work on the vision of the organization. Secondly, what we did was to work on the core values, which were to guide the behavior of our employees or our team members and the entire Head Start program. One of the things that we did was to establish, with the input of team members, a set of core values that would just say, this is what you should see when you come into our buildings. You should see unmatched customer service. You should see highest quality. You should see integrity. You should see innovation. You should see all of these things when you walk inside of our buildings, because we want to be intentional in our practices and changing the lives of the children and families that we serve.
Phara, you know, there's been lots of research about the effectiveness of early education, the effectiveness of Head Start in particular, which, you know, and a lot of that research has demonstrated clearly that children gain from being in the Head Start program. Talk to us just a little bit, for those who might not be aware of the various components of Head Start and what it's designed to do.
One of the things that we do is we focus on the development of the whole child. So we focus on the child's physical, cognitive, and social emotional development. This is by no means exhaustive. However, this is what we do. We focus, actually we start when they're very, very young. We do have an early Head Start program that serves children who are birthed to age 3, and then Head Start begins at age 3 through age 5, actually primarily 3 and 4-year-olds. But we also serve pregnant moms. So we believe that you have to start very, very young with children in order for them to grow and develop at the rate that needs to be for them to be successful.
So I know we have children, well, you mentioned pregnant moms through children age 5. Talk to us a little bit about some of the things a child would experience when they come into our program. I know we have all these deadlines, do this in 45 days, do this in 90 days. Talk a little bit about those things. What does the child receive when they come into the Head Start program?
What happens is that when they come into our program for the first, I'll say, 45 days, we have to do health screenings. We do developmental screenings. And this helps us, well, let me go back. The screenings that we do will entail hearing, dental, vision screenings, because we believe that in order for children to succeed, they have to be functioning optimally in these areas. And so these are done in the first 30 to 45 days of their entry into the program. Once we get those results, then we individualize our services to meet the unique needs of each child. So based on what happens with those screenings, we have to tailor our services. Children can't learn if they can't hear. Right. And if they're having problems seeing, they're not going to function optimally in the classroom setting. So we work very diligently on ensuring that our children are healthy so that they can learn and that they're ready for school.
Well, I know you do some things with nutrition as well, and looking at weight and some other things with children. Talk a little bit about that.
That is correct. We do provide what we call heights and weights. We want to determine whether the children are in the correct range for their height and at the age that they are. And if they're below the range or above the range, then we work with each individual family to ensure that the children receive the necessary support so that they can function nutritionally.
Okay. Now, we talked a lot about the children, but we know that Head Start is a comprehensive program, and that's what makes it really unique. And we're seeing throughout the city models being built on the Head Start model.
That is right.
We're seeing our recent pre-K grant that the city received. We were glad to be a partner along with Metro Pre-K schools, and we're seeing that grant is really tailored toward modeling some of the work and the research that's been done in Head Start. So talk to us a little bit about the components of Head Start that support not just the child but also the family.
Well, let me just say first that we've been around a long time. Head Start is the leader. We just made our 50th year this year. This is our birthday. So we've been doing this a long time. We are the leaders in the early childhood arena. And so what makes us so unique and what people want to model is our two-generational approach to eliminating poverty. And that approach is that we target the whole family. We focus on providing experiences that enhance the development of both the child and the parent. With the child, we focus, of course, as I stated earlier, on his or her emotional, social emotional, cognitive, and physical development. And with the parent, we focus on enhancing their leadership skills, their advocacy skills, their employability skills, so that the whole family can be successful.
You mentioned the advocacy skills, and we know that a big part of Head Start is encouraging parents to be advocates for their children. Some children we have from birth or through pregnant moms, and they may be with us all the way through age 4, but some of our children may be with us only for a year. Talk to us a little bit about that advocacy piece for parents and why that's so important.
Well, I think the advocacy piece is critical because once they leave us, we want to ensure that the highest quality that we've given them continues. I think that for many of our children, they're going to need their parents to speak up for them, especially for our children who have a diagnosed disability or who have an individual educational plan. So what we do is we work with that parent to ensure that when they leave us, the child continues to receive the type of services he or she needs in order to thrive in their new environment.
We know that you mentioned also the employability of parents, which also gets to that two-generational approach to poverty, because parents who are able to get help with their GED or who are able to get help with their resume or even to get additional training, that's all done in partnership with Head Start working with parents. And so talk a little bit just about the things that we're doing, because the parent involvement is a huge piece for Head Start. The things that we do to try and make sure that parents leave us hopefully in a better position than they were when they came.
One of the things that I think is fantastic about the Metropolitan Action Commission is that we have services right here. We don't have to leave our doors as it relates to helping parents to enhance their employability skills. So what we do is we ensure that if it's referring them to our GED program, to our MAC for Jobs program, that they're able to participate in opportunities that will enhance their skills so that they can go out and find gainful employment.
I think that when I think of Head Start, as you know, I went to Head Start. I was a Head Start child many years ago, before you were born, I'm sure. But in the Head Start program at that time, it was a summer program. And so now we know that Head Start is expanding its services and doing a number of different things. Just talk to us briefly about, I don't want us to leave out anything that we provide for our families. Transportation, nutrition, we certainly have a health component, disabilities where we work with our families, a lot of the things that the program does. Talk about some of the things that you're doing in the classroom and with teachers, and just really focusing on teacher professional development and so on as well.
Well, Head Start has a huge training component. We believe strongly in the professional development of our teaching staff, because we believe that if we have teaching staff who are ready and who have the skills that they need, that this should translate into outcomes for our children. So we spend quite a bit of time coaching teachers. We have restructured, when you asked earlier about some of the changes that have been made, we have kind of restructured our program in order to ensure that we are seeing outcomes in our classrooms. And one of the ways that we have done that is by putting in place a structure where we have individuals who focus primarily on teachers and the enhancement of their skills. Each of our centers has an early childhood assistant center manager whose role is primarily the educational specialist at that center. And that the primary responsibility of that individual is to conduct classrooms observations, to look at what's happening in our classrooms, to ensure that we are continuing to be intentional in our service delivery to children and families.
I know that coaching is a big part of that component as well, and one of the major changes that was also made is adding an education team who's responsible for providing assistance to those who are coaching in the classroom, working with our teachers, as well as enhancing the professional development that is happening. Phara, what is when you think of, you mentioned that our parents can get a lot from our agency, but we also know we work with a lot of really great partners in the city as well, who work with our families, who do training for our parents. When you think of Head Start, and we've talked about the fact that it's a model, and we're excited to see how this model is being duplicated as we watch throughout our city, but also throughout other parts of the country. What is really your hope for children and families who come into the Head Start program and the experience that you want them to have?
I want them to be ready when they leave us. The child and the parent. I think that I've said recently to our staff, we only have a short amount of time to make a difference in the lives of some of our children, because some of them we have less than a year, and then they're leaving us and they're going into wherever they're going, into another school setting or environment. So I think the greatest thing that I'd like to see is for them to be ready for school, and that's Head Start's goal nationally, but it's a worthy goal for them to be ready to be able to function, for them to have proper hearing, for them to have their needs met, both the child and the family, so that both of them can function optimally when they leave us.
Talk a little bit about the importance of environment. And when I say environment, I'm talking about when a child comes into our building, what do you want them to experience?
Calmness. I think that's one of the primary things, because I think I'm so focused right now on the fact that a lot of our children have been through some kind of traumatic experience. Trauma is an issue in the lives of some of our children. And they go through some things that we can't even imagine. And when they come into our buildings, I want them to feel safe. And like there are people here who love them, who want to see them succeed, people who are tender, who talk to them with some love and some respect, and who see them as children who will make it in this world.
Yeah. I think it's a great point, and I'm going to push that a little bit further. When we say we want children who will make it, we want children who will succeed, absolutely, and I know you feel the same way. When we think about just the work of Head Start, I mean, I'm a product of Head Start, and I share that probably more often than people would like to hear, but I have great value in what the program does and what we're able to contribute in the lives of children and family. Say something about the incredible team that works for the Metropolitan Action Commission.
We couldn't do this without the team.
Right.
And we have wonderful, wonderful people in place from our ETAs or our ED team and our coordinators and our center managers and our teachers and our nutrition team members, our bus drivers. It takes all of us, our custodians. It takes all of us to make this work. When we're working with children and families, it takes a village, not to use a cliche, but it actually does. It takes a lot of people to make this work, and half the battle in serving children and families is having the right people in place.
I agree.
And we do.
I agree. You left a couple of groups for me, and I appreciate you doing that because I met with them recently, and I told them I don't have favorites, but I certainly think that our family advocates,
yes,
that for group sure. It's really the extra piece of Head Start that we're really seeing many people attempting to model, which is to have this group of people who are dedicated toward working with our families. They're a part of the recruitment strategy for us. They help our parents with much needed resources. They keep them connected. You mentioned teachers, and I know in that situation you're also including our teacher assistants because they are also teachers in the classroom. Phara, we could have spent, you realize, 2 or 3 hours just talking about the work that's being done in Head Start, and I want to just say I appreciate your leadership, and I know that you've continued to model what we believe is important, which is to continue to educate yourself. Congratulations on receiving your doctorate.
You as well.
Well, thank you, but just being able to model for the families that we serve that you can continue to advance and to improve yourself. And so I think that having you here today has been a great opportunity for the people in our audience to just get a snapshot, and it really was a snapshot, of what Head Start does and the incredible work that you've done since you came back to the agency. So I'll say since you came back home, since that's what I feel like you did. So certainly I continue to wish you great success as we go forward, and thank you, Phara, for spending this time with us and letting our audience get a chance to know a little bit about you and the work that's being done in Head Start. We appreciate it.